Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. My name is Vinod Nair, and welcome to the Accelerate workshop tracks on the top 5 most innovative practices in diversity hiring. This session will be held between 1:30 to 4 p.m. And I also request all the attendees to kindly post their questions on the Q&A sessions so that I can relay the same to all the speakers. All right. Last speaker for the session is Ms. Kanita. She's the head TNC for ANZ. Kanita, the stage is all yours.
Great. Good evening. Thanks, Vinod, and thank you, Jobs for Her, for this opportunity, for us to share some of the practices that we have in ANZ and what has worked for ANZ. I'll just give a bit of an, overview about our organization before sharing some of our practices. Vinod, if you can move to the next slide. ANZ, we stand for Australia and New Zealand Bank, and we are driven by our purpose to shape a world where people and communities thrive. So ANZ goal is to have a workforce globally that reflects the diversity of the communities in which we operate. So a diverse workforce is more likely in our world. It helps us to understand our customer needs and come up with ideas that will help to fulfill them. So diversity is so ingrained in our organization's thinking, working, and our DNA. We are one of the 5 largest listed companies in Australia and number 1 bank in New Zealand. And we have over 39,000 employees supporting our retail and institutional and our wealth customers. So that's about globally what do we do as an organization. Moving on to the next slide. In India, we do have a bit of an institutional setup with branches in few cities within India. And from a service center point of view, we are set up in Bangalore. You can move to the next slide. In Bangalore, our service center setup is one of the first shared services center in Bangalore, and we are more than 30 years old in the market. We provide technology, operations, and enablement services to the group globally. So we have over 6,200 employees, and if you look at our gender representation, we have about 39% of our workforce represented with women and remaining male. And our women in leadership, as on this year, it stands at about 29%. So we have relatively young workforce. So hence we have a very vibrant culture, and majority of our workforce are millennials and Gen Y population. So that's to give you an overview about what we stand as an organization. Let me also give a quick context about our inclusion journey in ANZ. Like I said, our purpose is to shape a world where people and communities thrive. And in ANZ Bangalore, we believe in the inherent strength of a vibrant, a diverse and an inclusive workforce where the backgrounds, perspectives, and life experiences of our people help us to serve customers and help us to serve our communities better. So we have a diversity and inclusion council that govern the overall diversity and inclusion and sustainability agenda for the Bangalore Service Center. And the D&I Council is chaired by our MD and has members from India management team. And we have 3 employee volunteer networks for 3 different diverse groups. So one is the Forward Network for, the prime objective of this network is to drive gender equality and inclusion. Then we have Abilities Network to drive to ensure that people with disabilities, thrive well and are able to build a career. And then we have Pride Network primarily for our LGBTQI plus community members. So this is how we drive, inclusion in our organization. And we have co-leads for each of the network, and these co-leads are part of the Diversity and Inclusion Council. So we do come together and discuss in terms of what is that we want to achieve together for the year, and each one of them drive their own initiatives. Each network has their own steering committee who focus and set targets and drive initiatives throughout the year. And this is absolutely driven by our own employees. So that's how we drive the inclusion in ANZ. So if you look at from a forward network, which primarily focuses on gender diversity and inclusion, there are some key objectives. If I may want to call out the key ones, it is about how do we support the aspiring women employees to move forward and upwards in their career and enable them to have a thriving career, and actively educate and encourage the whole ecosystem within the organization to ensure there are flexible work arrangements available for people so that they are able to balance and strive for a thriving career within the organization, both by meeting their personal responsibilities and requirement, and also from the organization side. So these are the couple of key initiatives, and of course, well-being becomes one of the key driver. When we say well-being, it involves financial, physical, and also mental well-being. So that's the framework we drive inclusion in ANZ. If you can help to move on to the next slide. So far, we have had a successful journey in terms of driving the gender diversity agenda in almost all aspects of the employee life cycle, whether it is attracting, engaging, well-being, developing, or promoting women in management and leadership roles. And we'll definitely want to continue to strive to create an ecosystem where diverse talent can thrive and excel. We year on year, we continue to have that focus to increase the baseline for balanced gender representation at all levels. And since we have been recognized for for our diversity hiring practices, we are happy to share some of the practices that has helped us to get here. In terms of we are also seeing year on year there are a few things that we add to our list, because if we have to sustain our focus on diversity and inclusion, we have to keep reinventing and adapting ourselves to the changing environment and the ecosystem that we are operating in. So one of the first things that we started, right through the hiring processes, implementing a gender decoder software. It will help to analyze and identify the job postings if it has any biased languages, we try to ensure that some of the choice of words that are used in the job posting are not very masculine in nature, and we balance it out and replace with some of the feminine words as well. So that's the gender decoder. We want to ensure that there isn't any conscious bias where we let our potential candidates to know that this is something that is meant for a different group of workforce. So we want to ensure that there is absolutely no bias over there. We also ensure that people are provided with opportunities, with different work arrangements. So we have arrangements for hiring people via offer them as internship, part-time, full-time, and also flexible jobs. So if you look at our part-time, it not only talks about working for half a day, it also provides people an opportunity to work for 3 days a week or 4 days a week, depending on their personal circumstances. They can choose what kind of flexibility that will work for them. And given the the nature of countries that we support, the work timings is something that works for many of them, because people get to start early in the morning, and most of them get to finish their job by afternoon. So they have their rest of the day to kind of focus on for some of the family needs. So from that point of view, I think it's kind of worked very well. We did have a dedicated internship program to hire women candidates to especially build middle management pipeline. We did have a targeted drive for our businesses like technology and finance, where there was conscious focus to increase the gender representation at certain level. We continue to participate in women-focused recruitment drives, and also targeted hiring of graduates from women colleges. That helps us to bring in the right mix of diverse talent, in our hiring needs. So we continue to sponsor and participate in external conferences like GHCI and other forums, which helps us to bring women in who are interested to pursue careers in technology and some of these niche skill areas. So these are some of the areas and ways how do we extend the opportunities for our people. The next one is in terms of return to work program, and this we have launched in our organization, and it's been there for more than 3 years. When we say return to work, this is designed for people who have taken a career break and would like to transition back into the workforce. So anyone who's got a minimum career break of 6 months, we do encourage them. So we hire or we offer this return to work in 2 ways. One is with special recruitment drives only for women with career break, which we are also planning to do one this year, marking the International Women's Day. And the second is we do focus on hiring women with a career break in our ongoing recruitment activity. So this doesn't stop if we don't have a specialized drive. It happens as part of our regular hiring as well. So throughout our selection process, if we come across any women with a career break and on merit, if they are suiting our requirement, then it is mandatory that they are given a priority for hiring into our organization. So that's how our return to work program works in ANZ. If I have to talk about some of the flexibility option, we so far we had been operating with the principle of all roles flex. So it is up to the line manager to get creative in terms of identifying opportunities on a case-to-case basis. What is the kind of flexibility they require so that we get the best outcome from our women employees. So that has really helped. And with COVID and pandemic, I'm sure the entire world has experienced and moved into a very different form of flexible work arrangement. And we have been working from home since last March. It's going to be 1 year since the entire organization is fully working from home. So we have also done some work to ensure and leverage on the learnings that we can take from this flexible arrangement of continued work from home. So though we have not opened our offices, we have announced to our people that whenever the office opens, it will be a blended working mode that all the employees in Bangalore will be working on, which means they would be working in office only for 2 or 3 days. And there are some individual specific flexibility options for people if there are circumstances to consider more days at home. So this is now made a formalized arrangement for people. So this kind of flexibility arrangement has really supported to have or to increase the women representation year on year in ANZ. That is absolutely one area. And talking on the next one is the gender balanced recruitment practices. So in ANZ, gender balancing is a business imperative, ensuring equal representation of men and women in our business is more than just an issue of gender equality. It is also about accessing the talent, market, and the economic opportunities that gender equality brings for us. So our gender balanced recruitment practices have ensured that there is a healthy mix of men and women right from the beginning of the employee life cycle. In ANZ, we ensure at least one female candidate is interviewed for every role, and that there is at least one woman in the interview panel. This this has really helped us to ensure that we do have balanced women representation right through the recruitment cycle, right from profile sourcing till interview. And it also helps to give the hiring manager a diverse pool of candidate, for them to choose from. So that's about our gender balanced recruitment practices. One other thing that's important to call out is all our recruiters go through a mandatory sensitization training twice a year. It is important to ensure that they are equipped to manage and connect and engage with a diverse pool, and that sensitization doesn't stop with just one program or a session. It happens every half yearly. So that is in terms of how we ensure our recruiters, and we do also have sensitization program for our hiring managers, so that we don't see any bias in the way they recruit, for the roles that they have. And we are very proud to see, especially we were a bit worried when we had roles to hire last year when everyone were working from home, and people were a bit hesitant to shift jobs. People were very anxious in terms of, is it the right time to shift jobs, in terms of will there be job security and so on. And also from a hiring manager's perspective, I'm sure all of you would have experienced that even for our women workforce, it had taken a bit of a time for them to juggle with their home responsibility and also office, especially when they didn't have much of the support system available for them, when they didn't have house help and all that. The creche facilities were closed, when they have to manage everything by themselves. It did put a bit of a difficult task for our women to kind of manage. We did offer some kind of a flexibility for them to kind of, during lunchtime for cooking, and if people wanted some kind of a flexibility. So we were worried, will the hiring managers be a bit hesitant to, consider women candidates with the constraints the environment is operating. But very interestingly, I think all the sensitization and the culture we have developed over a period of time really played a role, and we did see much higher women representation in our hiring last year compared to the previous year. So that really kind of goes a long way in terms of the investment as an organization we have done in terms of sensitizing our workforce, especially our hiring managers and the leaders. Next one I would like to talk about is about the virtual recruitment practices. I'm sure every organization would have embraced the virtual recruitment practices, especially in the last 1 year when everyone were predominantly operating from home. We have to, quickly flex ourselves to kind of embrace in terms of digital interviews, digital assessments, digital onboarding, and it is not that only we become flexible to kind of adapt these practices. It's important to ensure people are comfortable to navigate in terms of going through a process in a virtual mode. And we did see it was a bit challenging to attract people for the constraints I just spoke about. And there is lots of patience and follow-up that is required, and the efforts are much more compared to a normal recruitment. But I think as an organization, we went through a change process in terms of not just switching to these digital modes, but also ensuring where could be the challenge points and how we would support our candidates as they go through the process. So that's about our virtual recruitment practices. In terms of business targets for diversity hires, we do have targets for women in management and leadership across our various divisions, and these are reviewed monthly, quarterly, and on an annual basis in terms of where they are trending against the target. This is a classic example of what gets measured gets done. In terms of, we do have some of the enabling policies and benefits to support our diverse candidate. One such thing is the equal opportunity bullying and harassment policy. And this policy not only is applicable for our employees, but is also applicable for our contract employees, customers, clients, even visitors. That's definitely, that is helping, and other policies like leave and so on. So that it just helps us to position ourselves as a diverse and inclusion-friendly organization for people to consider to connect with us via an employment opportunity. And the last but not the least, of course, everything is possible because of an enabling leadership and an inclusive culture. So it is not about bringing diversity into the organization. It is also important to think about how do you stay diverse in the organization, and culture plays a very key role, and leadership is a key enabler to foster that culture. So our leadership not only provides support, but they also lead from the front. We do have every year a recognition program where we call out to significant contribution made by people in the gender equality and inclusion space, and also for some of the key contribution from the employee volunteer network as well in the space of gender equality and inclusion. So these are some of the practices that has really helped us to build a diverse workforce. And especially last year, like I mentioned, there were two key results that we were able to achieve. One is about 47% of our hires we did last year were women across all levels. And we were able to ensure it was gender balanced for more than 90% of our roles right through our recruitment of hiring of all roles.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kanita, for your time. And I'm so sorry for the initial technical glitches that we had to face.
No problem.
Right.
Understand.
And
Yeah.
wonderful.
Thank you so
everyone.
much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Kanita. Thank you, everyone.